19 override, and I'm ready to break the pain for you this week. It's divisional week in the NFL. And if you tuned in last week, you know that the wild card lineups was crazy. But let's get to it. Let's get ready to bring the pain. Ooh, yeah. How you like that? I hope everybody had a great week. Hey, my team lost. Horns down. Guess the Rams got to look forward to next year. Who knows what's going to happen with Stafford? Things happen. But what was really cool about everything is how I ended up going 3-3 with the picks. I picked Texans to win, Chiefs to win. I picked the Cowboys, lost. I picked the Bills to win, got that. But I did pick the Rams and the Eagles. I switched from the Eagles. Stupid move. I knew that team was just going to go out. But hey, guess what? They're gone. So we don't have to worry about that. And we could just move on to this week, right? So let's just start it off. Let's do a nice little preview of what we got going on. So I'm going to cover Houston and Baltimore first, right? So I'm taking Houston. Baltimore, one of these, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. San Francisco, Baltimore come out and smash. But it always seems like at least one of the teams that was on a bye would always lose. Now, in the past, when there was 4 bye teams, I get that. But now we got 2 bye teams. And between the two, I think the one that's going to lose would be the Ravens. I think San Francisco's coming out, and they're just going to shove McCaffery right down poor old Green Bay's throat. But hey, that's what happens when they just do it. And San Francisco has been playing at a high level. They've given the defense has been resting all this week. They've had time. Green Bay came out last week. Okay. Wait, I gave you guys Aaron Jones, and that was the big part. So let's stay with the Houston. Baltimore side, it's Lamar Jackson. Look, Flowers is inconsistent. Andrews was looking like he was going to come back. He's not. So that means likely is definitely likely to play. If you want to go with that, he's going to be the more consistent. And it always seems like Gus Edwards will always get you that touchdown. But again, this is going to be like a showdown slate. So this is why when I say experts don't like giving out lineups at all, they only give you out a few people, is because when you get to this time of the year, you give out a lineup, it's either going to be really good or really bad. And that's what happened with my Ultra Contrarian show last week. Even though the lineups were almost the same, just a 1 or 2 player difference was a difference of almost 70 points between the lineups. And that is what I try to preach, and what a lot of people preach when it gets to this. It's more of a showdown slate. We only have 4 games. So this is just like, like if they would give you a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or a Thursday game, or this is like, a Thanksgiving Day game where they do the Thanksgiving Day games and they threw the Black Friday game in on a slate. So you only have 4 teams to choose, or 4 games to choose from. So your player pool is going to be limited. That means you have every chance to go for a player that will go off and be contrarian. So you're going to have to check out my Ultra Contrarian show, because we got that for you. And at the end of this show, I'm going to have the Macho pick of the week. Yeah. So Lamar Jackson's definitely the guy on Baltimore you want to own. And then I would say Jackson, likely Edwards. I'm not saying Flowers can't go off. I'm not putting any money on those guys, right? I mean, hey, if one of them scores, and that's the difference between me placing first place and 151st place, and I lose 200, $300, that's fine. But you know what? We're going for cash games. This isn't supposed to be a GPP lineup. And if you use it for a GPP lineup, hey, you've had a lot of success this year. At the same time, not all the time you get in those GPPs. And that's why cash games, they're just fun. You double up your money and you move on, right? So let's go to the Houston side. I love Stroud. I love Collins. And I love Schultz. But hey, let's not forget about Brevin Jordan, who's been showing up. This is a guy, he just hasn't had the best, and then he's injured, and he gets a chance, but then they bring in Schultz. So Brevin Jordan has shown that he can be explosive. And Schultz he's probably not coming back next year. So you're probably going to start looking at what you want to do next year with Jordan. So he's definitely going to play. Now, that's a showdown move. That's a showdown slate move, because he's going to be super cheap, right? And that's the best part of it. However, I'm going to go with Schultz, of course, because Schultz is, more consistent. He had a great game last game. I gave you Schultz last week when I gave you guys Houston last week. And I think Houston can beat Baltimore. I think Baltimore's defense is amazing. I am, if you guys have followed any of my content, IDP content, especially for the last 2, 3 years, you know that the number one name I say a lot is Roquan Smith. Well, why do I say it? Well, I also wrote up Patrick Queen this year. They have a team that is strong and that they're strong up front, right? But in the secondary, I mean, Hamilton be laying the hammer. But every once in a while, them corners do get beat. And Collins and them are the type of receivers who can beat them. Plus, Robert Woods is a little more healthier this week. And with no Noah Brown, they're definitely going to have to pepper somebody. So look for Woods to get a couple extra points. You know, that's why Brevin Jordan's going to be in there. And of course, Schultz. But hey, let's move it along. Green Bay, San Francisco. Well, you know, I like Debo. Purdy's in play too. And McCaffrey's definitely in play. Now, he is super expensive. So if you're going to go heavy at receiver and try to get points, well, then you're going to have to give up one of them for McCaffrey on any kind of slate, especially FanDuel. FanDuel, he is super expensive. Hey, DraftKings has him at 88, but FanDuel's got him at like 10-8. And that's just insane. So let's move over. So, of course, Green Bay, it's going to be Aaron Jones. The whole offense runs between Aaron Jones. I guess I've been saying that for 5, 6, 7 years, and everybody kind of just sees it, but then don't really care about it. But when Aaron Jones is going off, this team plays well. They have to get the ball into his hands more. In the past, Green Bay has went A.J. Dillon, and that is why they would always fail, because they would give it to somebody who's just plodding forward. You can find anybody that will plod forward. Matter of fact, there's a lot of running backs that plod forward better than A.J. Dillon. So he's unusable at this point. So why not use your superstar? Why don't you use Aaron Jones? Because that's what we want. That's what we need. We need those points. But man, that San Francisco defense is too strong, and they could definitely bottle up Green Bay. I'm not scared for San Francisco in this game. San Francisco should definitely be able to handle Green Bay. There shouldn't be any problem. Yeah, Green Bay might score. Might. That's a big word. But when they do, it could be Wicks. And I love Musgrave. I love Musgrave. They're going to be peppering him. And the way last week when I pulled out that they were using Kraft and Musgrave and double tight ends, which is why it was easier for Aaron Jones to get open. Now, they didn't even use Jaden Reed. They didn't even care. This guy's been consistently great for them down the stretch. And guess what? He was nowhere to be found. It went back to Romeo Dobbs, and that's what they do. They're indecisive. They got one guy, and San Francisco's going to smash him out. That's the way it goes. You know, and that's we're just going to move along now. Tampa Bay, Detroit. Everybody's going to be targeted this game. Why shouldn't they? The way Puka destroyed that secondary last week is the same way Mike Evans is going to destroy. The only difference, there's no difference. Like, Mike Evans is a beast, okay? And he's coming off a crappy game. And even though, like, okay, it was crappy. He drew coverage, but Cade Otton went off. And that just shows that you can't, like, Baker Mayfield is moving. Tampa Bay can win this game. They seriously can. I'm taking Detroit, but you know, I'm going Jared Goff. I've been a Jared Goff fan for practically his entire career now. And even though he's a Detroit Lion and he beat my beloved Rams, it really doesn't matter. Like, I want to see him succeed. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't mind mandatory Montgomery. And heck, Jahmyr Gibbs, cool. Laporta, give me all that guy. I love it. And you know, I'm the biggest Aiden Hutchinson fan. So we can just keep going on and on about all those players. Those aren't the players. Of course, you're starting Goff. Of course, you're starting St. Brown, right? And Tampa Bay is strong up front. So this might be another one of those games where Montgomery gets his normal work, but he's probably not going to have that big explosive game. It's going to take Gibbs coming out of the backfield. But that's what I thought last week would really work for Detroit against the Rams, and they really didn't need to use that. They really didn't use them. So maybe they were holding off on those Gibbs plays for this week. Regardless, those are going to be, you know, St. Brown, you got Goff, you got Gibbs. Those are your guys. And Laporta. Laporta definitely can get it done. Detroit did show they were weak back there, and their linebackers aren't really the best. So their secondaries is. But again, they can't handle that big guy. And Chris Godwin's still out there. So this is a task for Detroit. This is the same thing like with the Rams. You're facing two offenses in a row that you have to outlast. And if it wasn't for, you know, two calls not getting made, the call on Goff, or the call on Stafford for roughing the passer, okay, they let that pass, but Higbee clearly was defenseless receiver, and that could have gave the Rams this win. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. And so we're going to move over. Evans, White, and Otten. I love those guys. You know, I've been the biggest Cade Otten guy all year long. When I saw people getting on Cade Otten, I'm like, yo, you should have been at Dr. Roto. You would have been on Cade Otten all year long. And you're like, well, he didn't really have that good of a year. But guess what? He was always like minimum, 3,000, 3,100, 3,200, 2,900. You're playing tight end. And for those weeks that he paid off, like last week, when he catches 8 balls off of 11 targets, that was a perfect guy. He was in all my lineups, and it helped you cash. So, you're going to have to check out my Ultra Contrarian show because, hey, I might have some players on there like I always do. Oh, yeah. Right? So let's move over to Kansas City and Buffalo. Man, everybody's looking at Tampa Bay and Detroit. Man, this Kansas City and Buffalo game looks fun. And I'm telling you right now, the snow we're getting in Erie, Pennsylvania, it ain't cool. It is not stopping. That game is going to be snowy, and they're going to be running the ball. That means you're going to be looking at Josh Allen running, maybe a little bit of Mahomes running. Those quarterbacks, that's why they're game breakers. They make things happen with their legs when things are breaking down, when things are covered. You see all the other quarterbacks that suck, and they're just sitting back there getting whacked, right? Why would you want to get whacked? Why not just throw the ball away? It feels much better to just get sacked from behind by people and just get some helmet rammed in the back of your neck. Like, that's awesome. Hey, I'm all for you quarterbacks doing that, but you're not going to be on the field much longer if you keep taking those blows. That's just some word of the wise, and it might not have any ideas, but guess what? Quarterbacks that make the game move, like Josh Allen, like Mahomes, this game is going to be awesome. And the Buffalo, this is the first time Buffalo actually has an advantage. However, Kansas City, again, going back to what I said on the last couple of weeks, Kansas City's running game and Kansas City's defense has been very, very strong. And Mahomes has been getting done with everything he needs to do to win a game. Buffalo is defensively still wounded. They're not the best. And here's the thing. Rice is bigger than Elam. And Elam created a really bonehead play for the Steelers. And then on the next play, he was able to get an interception in the end zone, or the next play after that. Anyway, you know the interception I'm talking about. If the Steelers score that touchdown right there, they run Najee the way they should have, but they didn't. They gave him one, he lost a yard, and then they throw an interception, right? So if you would have ran that, they would have had a tie game before Buffalo went and scored that touchdown to put them ahead. So they have to watch, because Kansas City will be taking advantage of that. They're not going to play around. That's going to be a Kelsey touchdown. And for that being said, so you're looking at Mahomes, Rice, Kelsey, and Pacheco. And then on the Buffalo side, I'm going Allen, Cook, and Kincaid. And then Diggs. Diggs is going to be more like move the chains guy. Kincaid's going to be getting there. And of course, we already know Dawson Knox. Remember what I said a couple weeks ago before the playoff side stopped? I said Dawson Knox, if he plays 2 or 3 games, could probably have 2 touchdowns in all these games. Well, here's his second game. He might have his touchdown now, or he might get it next week if Buffalo moves on. But however, this is what's going to happen. So I'm taking Buffalo to win this game. The weather's going to be really bad. They're at home. And Kansas City just looked beat going into the end of the year until they got Pacheco back. And if Buffalo can get up on them and they have to come away from Pacheco, depending on the weather, which is still right now, there's just a lot of snow out there, and it ain't even game time yet. And there's supposed to be a lot more snow coming through before game time, all the way up until game time. So this, again, it could be a snowy game, slippery. That does benefit the offense. So one quick pass over the middle, dude slipped, bam, touchdown, Shakir. I wonder why I would say that name. Anyway, let's move along. So you got all my picks, you got the ideas, you got the plays. So let's get to the
Macho pick of the week, huh? Yeah, I know you were waiting for it. Oh, hitting on all cylinder. Yeah.
It's none other than Mike Evans. I told you last week, Puka Nacua was going to destroy Detroit's secondary. Evans is the same type of player. I don't know how he cannot destroy them the same way. Detroit's gonna be worried about him, but believe me, you can't be putting Branch on Evans. You can't be doing any of that. Evans is a big dude. And when they need him and they start chucking the ball at him, right, he's going to catch it. So you're looking at right now, if you want to play alt line over 50 yards, Evans, that's probably like a good idea. That'll get you. But Evans easily could break 100 in this game. I mean, like I said, look what Puka did last week. And the Rams didn't even need Cooper Kupp, which Cooper Kupp is technically the Godwin of this week. So when you throw, I'm not saying Godwin can't, catch 8, 9 balls, but if Evans goes 5 for 143 and a touchdown, I'd rather have a piece of that. So that being said, that's going to be your plays of the week. You got to look for that. And hey, I might have gave you away a little prop bet there for Mike Evans. Do it. Get that touchdown in. And tune in to the Very Contrarian, my Ultra Contrarian show, so you can get the Very Contrarian lineups and get to the website. Read all of the articles. Get the content. The college basketball guys are still killing it on the one and done. Jay, Mike, Eric, whoa. They are putting it in, and they're putting it in hard, right? They're going and they got these guys. They're in there. When I say get to the subs only Discord, I mean they're in there. Players are getting pulled. They're telling you who to move in, move out, move this guy, move there, right? And they're cashing. I say it every week. They're cashing. Do you not like money? I like money. And guess what? Our guys win it. Oh, yeah. Have a great day, everybody. And may the points be with you. Ooh.